It says to multiply using the rule for the square of a binomial. And how do we recognize that we even have the square of a binomial? Well, if you look at this one, you have a binomial that's two terms, and you're squaring it, so it's the square of a binomial. We looked at one of these before in which there was a plus sign inside the parentheses, but the rule for the square of a binomial will work whether it's plus or minus. And here's the rule. If it's a plus b squared, then it's a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So whatever the sign inside the parentheses, that's going to be the sign here. This sign is always positive. If it's a minus b squared, it's a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So notice how that sign matches that sign. So if we use this rule right here to find out what 7x squared minus 2 is, then we would have, well, we square the first term. So we take 7x squared and square it. Minus, it's got to match this, 2 times the product of two things. 2 times the product of the first term times the second term. And then plus whatever that last term is, squared. So simplifying that, 7x squared squared. 7 squared is 49. X squared squared. Remember, if you take a power, raise it to a power, you're going to multiply these. Now, in this case, if I added these two, I'd get the same thing. But if this were 7x to the third power in here, then you wouldn't get the same thing. So always remember, a power raised to a power, you multiply. So it's going to be 7x to the fourth. And then we're going to multiply 2 times 7x squared times 2. Well, 2 times 7 is 14. 14 times 2 is 28x squared. And then plus 2 squared is 4. So there's your answer. But in case you're worried that you'll never remember this rule, then don't panic, right? Just remember that you can implement 7x squared minus 2 squared as follows. When you square anything, it means to multiply it times itself. So I can rewrite this as 7x squared minus 2 times itself. 7x squared minus 2. And then just go with the FOIL method. And that says to take the 7x squared and multiply it through the second factor. So 7x squared times 7x squared. 7 times 7 is 49. X squared times x squared is x to the fourth. 7x squared times a negative 2. It's a positive times a negative, so it's going to be a negative. 7 times 2 is 14x squared. And then let's take the negative 2 and do the same thing. We're going to multiply that through the second factor here. Negative 2 times a positive 7x squared. Well, negative times positive is negative 14x squared. And then negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. So now we're just going to combine these like terms in the middle. So that gives us 49x to the fourth. Minus 14 is minus 28x squared. Those are both square terms. Plus 4. All right, so either method we use, we get the same result.